Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Brian. Hope you're doing well today. It's Monday, so back to it. Monday, the 23rd of November. It's going to be a short week for us. We've got Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday. Uh, I expect things to be fairly quiet, but you never know. So, I mentioned last week, I pretty much historically I check out. I haven't traded this week through the end of the year. I don't think ever. I mean, years and years. So uh, I'm going to stick with it and do the daily updates for you guys. But just know, uh, I personally don't feel like it's a great time of year to trade, no matter what signals you might get, no matter what entry opportunities there are. Uh, I personally feel like it's just, volume starts to decrease. You've got folks checking out, taking their holidays, taking their vacations, and really from Thanksgiving to the end of the year, typically, not a whole lot happens now. Of course, it's 2020. We've had all kinds of craziness going on. Very emotional market. There could be a lot of things, factors that drive big moves. But I, so I'll be here. We'll talk about them. But I'm just no, I'm not in it, and I haven't been in it for years. So just a little caveat there as we get started. So what we're looking at today for the Forex update is we're going to look for the same thing we always look for. I mean, nothing should change, right? We're looking for what's happening in the market, what's moving the market. First thing we always do is check news, have a look at, do we have any high impact news coming up for the day that might impact us and cause us to need to be out of the market. So, looking through our calendar here, we see we've got some medium impact news around 8:45. We have some high impact pound news at 9:30. These are central times, by the way. So, this would be 9:45 Eastern time, 10:30 Eastern time for the medium impact and the high impact over here. I think we're okay as far as taking a trade right out of the gate. We can certainly look at what's moving and see if we have an opportunity to place a trade with a strong currency against a weak currency and then allow things from there to move. However, if it doesn't fill, within the first half hour to an hour, then we'll shut it down and come in for the next day and see what's here and what opportunities might be afforded to us, right? So looking at that, what opportunities do we have here? Well, we've got the pound has certainly made a pretty strong move leading up to the new start of the U.S. session. We've got the Canadian and the USD both as weaker currencies as we come into the U.S. session. Also above the midpoint is the euro. So we've got both the pound and the euro kind of stronger currencies, and the CAD and the USD as weaker currencies. Looking at, taking the pound first and looking at pound cross pairs, if we look at the pound versus the USD, it's moved 112 pips already for the day. Its average is about 115 or so. Not great as far as, for me anyway, as far as looking at continued opportunity. Seems like this would be getting kind of at the end of its range and maybe a good time to look for reversals there. So as far as breakouts, not really seeing great opportunity on that pound versus the USD. So moving on, what's the pound versus the CAD look like? And we've got nice divergence here as we're coming in and having a look at that. Pound versus the CAD, I mean, it's moved basically 100 pips, 98 pips. Its average is about 140. Last week was kind of tight, 100 pip range last week, but its average, over the greater period is about 130 to 140. So potential opportunity there to move that additional 20 pips that we need. So that's certainly interesting. Pound versus the CAD on an open, looking to see if we can't get a quick blip on 20 pips there. So pound CAD certainly on the radar. Euro CAD and Euro USD could be interesting as well. Let's have a look there at what's happening with the euro, and we can kind of start weighing some things against each other. I'll leave the pound CAD up. Bringing the euro CAD over, we've got euro and versus CAD's been fairly flat, leading into the new session. The little pop right here. It's moved 60 pips on an average of about 95 to 100. So, you know, we've seen some pullback. Looks like we're just starting to maybe flip back over to green on the volume detail. So looking at the euro versus the CAD, this one is certainly very interesting as well. And, you know, may have that volume detail with us just like the pound does. Euro USD, a little less interesting on that one. You know, nice divergence here. It's moved 56 pips. Its average is about, you know, 75 to 80. So I don't feel like there's as much opportunity on that USD, you know, pound USD or euro USD as there is on pound CAD or euro CAD. So for me, looking at potential pairings here as we come into this new session, I'd be looking either pound CAD or euro CAD for that breakout, and you know, either one of these looks pretty good. Definitely more of a, you know, the euro is our strongest currency coming into the new session, so a lot more movement here. But I tend to, and I think I may have mentioned this before, I really tend to favor these currencies that have been kind of hanging around the midpoint and then begin to diverge, because sometimes we get a little bit of a longer movement there. But either one of these, euro versus CAD, pound versus CAD, are viable trading opportunities off of the brand new session is the U.S. Open. So what we'd do with that is we'd wait, you know, let the U.S. session open here in about 3 minutes, look at some breakout points. So, you know, we typically would paint a box on there and look 10 pips beyond where the opening price is and say, hey, if price breaks this with some momentum, then we want to be in that trade and let things, and hopefully it carries on with us. So, you know, let's go ahead and set that up, and that's a potential tradable opportunity for you on either one of those two. I wouldn't trade them both, because then you're just doubling your risk on the CAD. But you know, pick one of them, either the pound or the euro, trade that against the CAD, and you could look for that in the long direction. All right, so there's my my tradable opportunity for you and trade idea for the